Hello, everyone. Welcome to probably the shortest episode we're going to do for at least a while, but there's some noteworthy news that we either missed from last week or went live the second we went off the air. Maple Leafs have done this numerous times. I don't know why they continue to do it. They made two moves. One is significantly more important than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get the less important one out of the way. Leafs signed Simone Benoit to a 1-year league minimum deal, formerly on the Anaheim Ducks. Interestingly enough, he played on a defensive pairing with John Klingberg, so it kind of makes sense. He's really going to be a depth signing, going to play in the AHL.
Yeah.
Initial reactions okay, depth. Their salary cap situation is still, I have no idea how they're going to maneuver it.
And then they made it worse.
Not
this year, but next year. So I guess
I will preface this by saying, signing your best player is a good thing. It's signing your best player is a good thing.
Sometimes, though, you have to ask that question.
So let's announce the contract. The big thing that at least I've been waiting for all summer. Auston Matthews finally signs a new deal with Toronto. He signs a 4-year, $13.25 million a year contract, the highest average annual value in the entire league for now. This really puts the Leafs window, really their window is going to be in the next 5 years, especially this year, considering their, I guess, core four, I hate saying that, is it's probably going to be the last year they're all around. Now, first reaction to this deal, when I first saw it, was, yay, he signed, but that contract is pretty steep.
Wait, do we tell the extent of what that deal is, or not yet?
Yeah, it's $13.25 million for 4 years.
So basically, he's signed until 2028.
Yeah, he will be 31 at the conclusion of the contract, which is hard to believe.
I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to say this with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
This is their last. It has to be. This is their last chance.
Yeah, for me, when you window is 5 years.
When you sign Bertuzzi, Domi, and Kampf.
Yeah.
Or no, Bertuzzi, Domi, Klingberg, and all them.
And Ryan Reeves. Don't forget Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, unfortunately. Still awful move. Jesus. When you make the signings you do, like when you bring in guys like Klingberg, Domi, and Bertuzzi, these are three guys who are on 1-year prove-it deals. It's not like a reclamation project. Well, Klingberg is. The other two are not.
Yeah.
Those are two guys who are looking to get huge paydays if they play well this season.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason that's a bit concerning is I don't know what next year is going to look like for free agency, but the fact of the matter is you're going to have those three up. You're going to have another depth in Sam Lafferty. You're going to have Brody and Klingberg gone after this year, and Giordano.
Yeah, but Giordano's probably going to be a retiree.
Probably, but he might retire. He'll probably retire after this year, but he's going to be gone most likely after next season.
Oh, for sure. He'll be like 42, I think.
You put that, and Samsonov. He's not signed past this year either.
Yeah, I know, because he went to arbitration, so he's going right to unrestricted free agency.
Especially with how well he's played being in Toronto, he's going to get a nice contract. If Korpisalo got the contract he did with the Kings, or the Sens. If he got his contract that he did with the Sens, like Samsonov is going to get paid a lot if Grubauer proved anything.
Like
but
$6 million.
He could, and it's not going to be with the Leafs, unfortunately. So that all sums up to me. It's like if they don't win this year, they're going to end up rebuilding. Yeah. I think at least next year, at the least into 2025, which makes. I guess for me, it makes one, signing him for 4 years feel confusing, and two, you're putting that much on the table and you're paying for right now.
Yeah.
But if they don't do anything next year, then your right now is going to be possibly rebuilding. That just doesn't make sense to me in the way.
Yeah. So I'll break it down a little bit as to why I think they did this. basically from like a lot of sources like inside of the NHL are saying the salary cap is going to start going up. Like we're starting to get out of COVID. The owners got their like escrow repaid. So what they're thinking is the salary cap could go up as much as $15 million. Not this season, but next season it could go up like $15 million. And then the season after that, it could probably go up another 10. So you're looking at another $25 million to work with.
Okay.
So right now the contract is like, oh my God, that's a huge percentage of the salary cap. Like you really can't incorporate that into your team. But looking at it right now, like Matthews still has 1 year left on his like $11.634 million deal. So like it's stomachable. It's not great, but it's stomachable. This one to me, if the cap goes up as much as they're saying, this is a better deal than the $11 million one to me.
I guess, but here's the thing, and we've talked about this, that if I'm always against salary caps jumping up, and I'm not talking like jumping up a few million. I mean spiking.
Yeah.
I'm highly against that. As I've watched the NBA, I watched when they jumped up the cap by, I don't even remember. I think it was like 30 mil or 20 mil or something like that.
Yeah, it was $30 million.
It was $30 million, and they overpaid. I want to get, say 30 to 40 players that year. And it completely messed up what free agency was. And I have a bad feeling that if you were to take going into this year, think about that. If the cap spikes, Nylander could go from being a $7 million guy to a $12 million guy, because of that cap. Bertuzzi could go past double digits, and he's not.
He's not going double.
Domi could get 8, and I'm saying this as the way of how the cap is. Would you pay $8 million for Max Domi?
No. Under that new cap system, the max I'm paying him is 6.
But there's going to be everybody's going to end up overpaying if you spike it by $15 million. That's the bit that's, I guess, troubling to me, because how much did it usually go up? 2?
It
1 million?
It goes up 5-ish million.
Oh, $5 million?
I mean,
okay.
That's actually, that point, playing off it, actually makes me feel better about this deal, because if you get it done now, Matthews is a $13.25 million player instead of, say, a $16 million. Connor McDavid is going to break the bank when that new salary cap hits.
Mm-hmm.
He could get, to me, he could probably get upwards of 20 if he wanted it. And what are the Oilers going to do?
Nuts,
tell him
by
no?
the way.
They're going to tell the best player in the world no.
They're going to tell the best player in the modern era no.
Seriously.
Your fan base will burn the city to the ground.
Basically it's going to be whatever Connor wants he's getting. If they can afford Draisaitl, because Draisaitl's another one in this. Draisaitl probably has the best value contract in the NHL right now.
And the worst part about it, he's up first.
He is.
He's up after the 2025-2026 season, so they're signed for another 2 seasons. McDavid's 3.
Draisaitl's getting at least 14. He's getting 14.
And let me tell you right now,
he's getting 16.
Even, let's say within 2 years, let's say by 2025, okay, the cap jumped up
20
$25 million.
Yeah.
What you said. Then, you could reasonably afford those 2.
Yeah.
But at that point, you're saying, okay, well, the rest of the lineup is staying the same. Mind you, Darnell Nurse is paid. How long is that contract?
I think it's another 6-7 years.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He's not done until 2030?
7 years, yep.
Oh, that's disgusting. Hey, Jack Campbell's up in 4 years.
That one, if the cap goes up, that contract's not terrible either.
Yeah, it's paid $5 million to sit on the bench.
I'm just
at least it's not Rick DiPietro, baby.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a bunch of these contracts, and I'm like, the GMs clearly know something is going on in the front offices. They have to be briefed on what's going on. I could see Matthews getting the $13.25 mil. If the salary cap stays what it is now. This contract, you're expecting Matthews to hit 50 to 60 goals a season with that contract because he has to.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Is I'm going to say this right now, unless your name is Wayne Gretzky or prime Ovechkin, you're not doing that. I don't even, maybe McDavid, but that's about it. That's a very small list of people. And that's the problem and it's something I've wanted to talk about, is that I think a lot of people, unfortunately, will view players' success based off of money, when in reality, the issue is a lot deeper, where it's more on the organization because, how many, raise your hand, obviously between the two of us, but anybody who's listening or watching, or either or, raise your hand if you have whined or complained about a player because they get paid too much and they're not worth it. We are both raising our hands. If you are not, well, one, you probably don't have a team you support. But two, if you aren't, you're lying. I'm telling you right now, you're lying, because most of us have had a player that we have watched get overpaid. For me, it's Philip Grubauer.
I probably, over the course of a regular season...
Yours was probably FNUF.
No.
Oh, was it?
Over the course of a regular season, there's probably 4 or 5 I get frustrated with because...
What was one of the biggest examples? I'm curious.
Oh boy! Do you want a recent example?
Ever? The one who has bugged you the most. It could be recent, old, either or.
Oh boy!
Just be honest with yourself. For me, it's Grubauer because I haven't watched hockey much, and he drives me insane, and he's one of the highest paid players on the team.
I mean, in terms of postseason, because regular season, I feel like a lot of the current Leafs players live up to their contract, with the exception of Tavares right now. Playoffs, up until this past year, it was Marner by a long shot. Matthews can be incorporated into that too, but all time it was probably David Clarkson.
Oh my God, I forgot about him. Yeah. How much was
David Clarkson was one. I'm trying to think of the guy on the Penguins who made too much money and didn't do anything.
This up right now.
The Penguins never really had that problem, though. I mean, I guess right now Tristan Jarry, who got a pay raise. Tristan Jarry was one. Recently, Jeff Petrie was a big one. Brian Dumoulin was a pretty big one too.
Yeah, I never
Jeff Carter.
Yeah. So wait. Let me just do a double check. I've never seen David Clarkson's.
Oh, you never saw it? It was $7 million a year.
Oh my God! He got $5.25 million for 7 years.
Yeah. Which, today's cap...
Oh, my God, Dave Notice.
I think the equivalent of today's cap is, that's $7.5 million or something
That's disgustingly bad.
Yeah. It's
in 2013.
Uh-huh. Oh, my God.
Oh, was that the year they signed, Dave Bolin?
Yes.
And, all those players?
That was the year they wanted to sign all the Boston beaters, and then they didn't even come close. Didn't even
I do vaguely actually remember this contract. That's so bad. But long story short, people, the reason I talk about all of this is that we always like to blame the players, but in reality, a lot of the issues of the contracts come from the organization because they're so. Because you could put this in any sport. It don't matter what it is, unless it's tennis, golf, where you basically self-promote yourself.
Yep.
Whereas, in the case of, the MLS, the MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, any of them, any of those leagues, and any other leagues that are officiated like that, all of that is driven around the GM. And unfortunately, what it's also driven around is ego.
Oh, yeah.
It is ego central. It does not matter the sport. And Jimmy, you probably can easily attest to this. Half the time, it's people trying to outbid each other. Just grown men trying to size each other up in a way to get a deal out so they can brag about it to their fans, especially nowadays with how social media is run.
They also want to brag about it to, the other GMs, too. It's, a competition between the GMs and, especially to the fans. Hey, look what I got. I can't get fired.
Here's this shiny new Auston Matthews re-signing.
I mean,
I know.
Treliving's defense, he's new. And
I know.
I don't know how Kyle Dubas would have done with that, but that's speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation. And I just talk about it because I think a lot of people give a lot of crap to players, and I think some is deserved, especially if you're a player and you kind of burn your bridges with your fan base, then you know what, they can fire all the shots that they want. I'm trying to think of an NHL example. I can think of plenty of examples of football and baseball in which they burn bridges.
Burning bridges with fans?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, which seems stupid.
Jack Eichel?
Yep. No.
But he won a ring, so what do I know?
He did win a ring, but he burned an entire bridge in Buffalo.
Screw the bridge. He won a cup.
Yeah, but sometimes...
I don't know. If I got a ring, like, hey...
It's fair. I'm just, like... It's tough because we all want to be successful, but at the same time, we then, I think, look past, some elements of loyalty.
Yeah.
Because in sports, it almost be... And that's my biggest fear with the cap going up. The league could start turning into ring chasing, like the NBA.
Yeah. I don't know if it ever will, though, because the cap in the NHL is just
still low.
Hard set. It's hard set. Like, if you go over it, like, barring the LTIR loophole, like, you can't go over it. And, like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, to me, I think the NHL should employ somewhat of a luxury tax because, like, if you're actually going to spend money to build a good team, you should be allowed to do it with a certain exception. Like, teams like Arizona who aren't even trying, like, okay, just spend to the salary cap floor. But, like, if you're a Rangers, if you're a Leafs, if you're a Kraken, a Penguins, like, eventually, like, teams like Montreal is going to come up. Like, you should be allowed to, like, spend money on guys, like, that will make you successful. Like, if you're making a run for it, go ahead.
You know what's funny? Arizona is spending more money than 8 other NHL franchises.
I'm kind of surprised by that, but not really because of how much money they're paying people to, like, not play for them, which is kind of nuts.
They are higher than the Flyers, Sharks, Blue Jackets, Red Wings, Predators, Sabres, Blackhawks, and Ducks.
Good Lord.
And I think you're absolutely right as well. That's the worst bit, that I think a lot of the players, there's 7 players.
Yeah.
We remember. I remember us talking about this when we were back home. No, it was 7 players, and I think a combined cap of like $20 million or something stupid.
Yeah, it's more than what they're paying their defensemen.
Something stupid. Something
more
dumb.
Than they're paying defensemen.
And if you were to take all the players out, then yeah, they are the lowest. So I do know what you mean.
Yeah. I guess we'll go on to the piece of news that came out in Seattle. Kind of an unexpected one. Jonas Donskoi ended up retiring at the age of 31. It wasn't due to, like, poor quality of play. It was due to his health.
Yeah.
Too many concussions. Like, I didn't read the full statement of what he put out. I know it had to do with the amount of concussions he had.
It was starting to add up, which is sad. He wasn't great for us, but I do feel bad.
He was a solid depth piece.
Yeah.
I think he was a solid depth piece.
Yeah. I'll say I have nothing bad to say about him. It's just he wasn't great, but
yeah, I mean,
things unfortunately happen and it's sad. So I'm wishing the best for him in retirement because I know sometimes transitioning from sports to retirement is,
and those concussions will mess
bad.
You up, man. His full statement that he put out was, "To everyone who has supported me on and off the ice, after suffering multiple concussions over my career, I have decided to retire from professional hockey. It is extremely hard to let go of something that you have put your whole life into, but at this point I know it's the right decision for my own well-being and future. I got to live my dream of being an NHL player, which I am extremely blessed and grateful for. I think I was able to reach my own potential, which was always my biggest goal. It would not have been possible without so many people who helped me along the way. Thank you, San Jose Sharks, Colorado Avalanche, and Seattle Kraken. It was an honor to be part of these 3 world-class organizations, cities, and fan bases. To all my teammates, coaches, trainers, doctors, front offices, and fans, thank you for the best years of my life. I met so many great people and lifelong friends on and off the ice. Thank you, Steve, and the whole Bartlett family for representing me throughout my NHL career and for helping me transition into life post-hockey. Thank you to my wife, Devin. I don't know where I'd be without you. I have been out of it so many times over the past years, and you have stuck by me and supported me every day. I am looking forward to putting our family first now. I love you, Declan and Jay.
Aww.
Yeah. So he addressed so many things. So honestly, like, good for him. He's prioritizing his health.
And his kids.
Yeah, he's putting his family first. Like, I completely get it. Like, it's one of those things where at a certain point, and a lot of players, unfortunately, play through this, like, with that. Like, they will play through it until the friggin' wheels fall off.
It's just sad.
Yeah, and, like, you never know how life's going to be post-hockey, so if you catch it very quickly, like, it's one of those things where you just got to call it quits. And for him, like, I don't blame him. Honestly, good for him. I think he preserved a lot of his quality time spent with his kids and his wife. So good for him. Congratulations on your retirement. We wish you the best in your future endeavors, and maybe your jersey gets hung up in the rafters for the Sharks after that overtime goal in 2016. I don't know.
Hey,
that's how I remember him. Against the Penguins. But
definitely. They were so close.
That final wasn't close, but the overtime goal was nice, but the final wasn't close.
No.
It was not close at all.
No.
All right. Now on to we have 2 pieces of unfortunate news, both of which happened last week. Well-known Buffalo Sabres announcer Rick Jeanneret passed away. I remember him as the guy when Brad May scored the overtime goal. I don't remember what year it was, but his most famous call was Mayday, Mayday, like that. That's what I remember.
89.
I think it was 89. It was either early 90s or late 80s.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
He was honestly one of the best NHL announcers of all time. Like, definitely one of the best regional NHL announcers of all time. I remember, like, I think his final season was
it was 93.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year, and they gave him a big retirement. Yeah. And it was so, and you know what I really love about, like, what made this, like, sad in a way, but I loved about Rick Jeanneret, I really feel like was a guy who paved the way for a lot of hockey commentary. And it's really sad in the span of, like, it's either been a year or 2 years. Like, one of the most well-known baseball commentators in Vince Scully passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And then just, like, 2 weeks or a week or 2 ago, Rick Jeanneret passed away. And it hurts me a lot because, like, this is where my love and passion goes into sports commentary, whether if it's professionally or just, you know, something that's a little more laid back like this. Like, I have a lot of respect for a guy like that because he, like, even because I only watched the last few years of hockey, like right around the time he obviously retired, and he genuinely was one of the most entertaining guys, and he covered a team that was probably in the darkest time of their ever franchise. Like, I give him all the credit in the world. He was one of the best to ever do it.
He always showed up to work with a smile on his face. He always had time for young people looking to get into the business. Like, always put others first. Rick Jeanneret will be greatly missed. I think the Buffalo Sabres lost a good one. The entire hockey community lost a good one.
Sports world lost a good one.
Before we get to a moment of silence, there is another death in the world of sports that I want to bring light to. It's not hockey related, but I am a very big wrestling fan. I know a bunch of our listeners are a big wrestling fan. I was a huge fan of this guy growing up. I remember the first time I saw him. Scared the crap out of me. Like his whole thing was super scary. But unfortunately, Windham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt, sadly passed away at the age of 36 on Thursday. Big loss to the world of wrestling. The most heartwarming thing I've seen is just a lot of people, like, not only in the world of wrestling, but in the community, all gushed about how great of a person he was. He always had time to sign autographs. He'd stay after shows, like, countless hours, like, just signing for kids, taking pictures with kids. He was just a great person to be around. People in the locker room just found him just to be a darling. He was great. My most fond memory of Bray Wyatt was probably the Wyatt family's match with the Shield back, I think it was 2012. I'm dating myself here, but like he was great. And during the pandemic, his Fiend persona was wonderful. I was devastated when they released him, but he came back in probably the best produced promo that WWE's ever done.
It was 2014.
Yeah. That match was crazy. But it really sucks. It's been shaking me for like just the entire time. I know we got like just watching wrestling, like Nick and I watched All In and just for AEW, great show, but the entire time it's like they were doing tributes to Bray Wyatt or Windham.
Yeah.
It just sucks. I just don't really know, like, I can't really put into words just how much he's going to be missed. I was really looking forward to his next run, but unfortunately we're never going to get it. And the good news is a lot of people are carrying on his legacy, and that is a very encouraging thing to see. All right. Let's honor them by giving a moment of silence, and then we will fade off in this episode. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good week, and may they rest in peace. Let's give them a moment of silence.